Communication is the lifeblood of relationships. And I can't stress this enough. There are so many people who are dealing with so much trauma, hurt, feelings of betrayal, rejection. I mean, just all, and are living beneath their means because of their either inability to communicate or their unwillingness to communicate and speak their truth, right? So a lot of times we hold things in. We hold things in because we fear conflict. We don't like others to disagree with the things that we were saying. And there's so many different reasons why we don't speak our truth, but we hold on to it. So I'll share a pretty raw example of that. The last conversation that my wife and I had before we decided to separate, I asked her, I said, Leah, we're at this point now where we're going to separate. So is there anything that you've been holding on to saying to me, or maybe anything you want to make me aware of within myself that that would be helpful, right, to know so that I could overcome some of those things? And as I sat with her and I listened to the things that she had to say, I realized that a lot of those things could have been fixed easily had we communicated about them. But the problem we find is that most people, everybody has trauma of some sort, right? And most people are scared of conflict because they've seen unhealthy conflict and they've seen it, erupt into something that is not good, right? There are some times where conflict arises and fights happen and harsh words get spoken, or I mean, it gets physical. I mean, there's so many different types of unhealthy conflict. But whenever we come to a place where we can respect one another enough to share our truths, whether or not we agree with each other, that's irrelevant. We mature to a place where we can listen to another person's perception or perspective and hold space for them without casting judgment on them, and simply just listening to understand where they're at. We often try to seek to be understood before we seek to understand. But I would challenge you to seek to understand. Ask more questions. If you don't agree on things, ask more questions. Find out more about why that person feels that way or believes that way or perceives that to be such. And as you ask these questions, not with the intent of answering, with the right answer, but simply developing the understanding so that person feels heard, you'll find that communication, that energy that's there is healthy and it's vibrant. And then you'll find that you'll want to talk to each other more because you feel like you're listened to. You may not agree on everything, like I said before, but you feel listened to. And doesn't it feel good when you know that somebody's listening and hearing you and not judging you or trying to change you into who they would want you to become, right? Or try to correct your narrative that they think is wrong. It's not about that. It's about developing a deeper understanding of each other. Because how am I going to love you if I don't know you? If we stay on the superficial level and this superficiality, and we never dive down into the depths of what relationships really are. Friendships, marriages, business relationships, business to customer relationships. Any kind of relationship requires more than just superficial talk. So what I would challenge you to do is get wildly curious about the people that you talk to and those people that you have relationships with. Instead of trying to project your ideas onto them or your beliefs onto them, simply find out where they're at. Ask them questions. See what makes them happy. Ask them what brings them joy. Find out, what their goals are. If you don't know what like your five, if you take your five closest friends, or we'll even go three, like, can you think right now, like, what their goals are? Do you know where they want to be next year? Do you know what 5 years out looks like for them? Because if so, if it were me and I know this about my friends, if 3 years looks like this, I'm the kind of person, I'm like, okay, well, what can I do to help you get there? Right? Not what can I do to help you believe or see things like me, but based on what you want to do and your own vision for your life, how can I help you get there? And it's as we do these things, as we open those doors of communication and we don't judge people for what they say, and then we stop fearing judgment. Like, not everybody's going to believe what we believe, but that doesn't mean that we can't find common ground and still have a healthy relationship. I met a young man when I was in jail this last summer. His name was Asham, and he was Muslim. And so when I prayed for his cellmate, he immediately found common ground with me. He said, you know, I don't believe what you believe, but I see that you really believe in prayer, and I believe in prayer. And because we both had this common belief in prayer, instead of me trying to convert him and him trying to convert me, we came to an acknowledgement that we're both on a journey, and it's my job just to love, right? So as we communicate our truths, we don't hold those things inside, right? And we can do these things. I've heard it said, and I believe it to be true, that everything can be said with love and respect. If our intent is love and respect, anything can be said out of love and respect. For example, you go to a restaurant, one of your favorite restaurants, and you have poor service. You're waiting, your glasses are never refilled, your food comes out, it's a little cold, maybe you ordered a steak and it's overcooked, and your server, you get kind of angry. You're like, well, how do I approach this with my server lovingly and respectfully? Well, there's some people who might handle it and be like, hey, you got this wrong, you need to get this fixed, right? Or, right, that's out of emotion. Or you can consider another option, like talking to your server and say, hey man, or hey, I want to say something to you with love and respect. Like, I come here and I appreciate the food and the experience here, and I don't feel like I've received the best service in the world, and I know that I'm supposed to tip you, and I want to validate that tip. In fact, I want to give you a bigger tip because of the service that you provide. So these are the things that are going wrong right now. Like, can you help me justify tipping you a little bit higher by just taking care of these few things? And see, that's just a different approach, right? It's respectful. Who knows, that server, that waitress, or that waiter, they could be just slammed. They could they could be short-staffed in the kitchen, and that might be the response. Oh, I'm so sorry, we have so much going on, I didn't pay attention. But now, because you approach them with love and respect, you're not that nagging customer, right? And the same thing can be done in our marriages or in our relationships, where we approach things and be like, you know what? I just wanted to come to you and tell you something out of love and respect. Like, I want to show you the affection, or I want to express my love to you and be respectful to you. But you know, I have a few things here that are going on, and they just make me feel this way. Do you think that there's some way that we might be able to handle this? And bringing that concern into a healthy place so that you can experience healthy conflict. Conflict is inevitable. Like, so many people try to avoid conflict so they don't speak their truth because they've only seen unhealthy conflict. So to start to develop the habit of healthy conflict, and that just means speaking up, right? And addressing differing opinions in a healthy way. I would challenge you to approach conflict with love and respect. Approach your communication with love and respect, and see what that gets you. I know that in my life, I've had tons of unhealthy conflict, and then I've had tons of healthy conflict. And the relationships that I have now, I've had some friends for 15, 20 years, and we've had, blowouts. But as we've approached conflict and differing opinions with love for each other and respect for one another, we've been able to grow, and our relationships are now stronger. They're more vibrant, they're alive, they're deeper, they're not superficial. We know each other's goals because we want to understand each other. Not everyone's going to understand you, and that's okay. We're not sent here to be understood. But I promise you that if you will spend a little bit more time trying to understand other people, right? Because communication is two ways. And when you have two people talking at each other, that's not communication. That's talking at each other. Communication is hearing an idea, considering the idea, and then responding to the idea, and then generating back and forth, based on that idea or those ideas in a healthy way. Not a debate, but in a healthy way so that all can gain understanding. I believe that it is wisdom to seek understanding before seeking to be understood. Have a great day, guys.